Welcome to MediByte. You know that feeling when it's like your own body is at war with itself? Well, today we're going to explore that profound connection between trauma and our physical selves, pulling some incredible insights from the groundbreaking book, The Body Keeps the Score. So here's what we're going to cover. We'll look at why trauma is so much more than a memory. It's a full-body experience. We'll see how it can make you feel disconnected from yourself, and then we'll explore how a practice like yoga can literally help us heal from the inside out.
All right, first things first, how exactly does trauma leave such a lasting mark on us? Let's really dig into the nature of this wound. Now this quote, it talks about finding pleasure in self-care. And that sounds nice, right? Simple even. But what if caring for your body, what if even just noticing your body feels dangerous? For someone dealing with trauma, that's often the reality. So why on earth does that happen?
Okay, this is the most important thing to get. Trauma is not just a story we tell about something bad that happened. It's a physical, biological imprint. It's as if your body's internal alarm system got tripped, and then the off switch broke. So it just keeps blaring, defending against a threat that isn't even there anymore.
So what happens when that alarm is going off, day in and day out? Well, it creates this huge disconnect, this massive rift between what you're thinking and what you're feeling. Let's talk about what it's like to live that way.
For so many trauma survivors, the body stops feeling like a safe home and starts feeling like a hostile territory, filled with all these confusing and scary sensations. To really understand why, we got to pop the hood and take a look at how the brain actually processes danger.
And this is just fascinating. So think of your brain as having two key parts for this job. You've got the amygdala, that's the super fast smoke detector that just screams, "Fire!" Then you've got the prefrontal cortex. That's the calm, rational watchtower that looks out the window and says, "Hey, relax, it's just someone burning toast." What trauma does is it cranks the sensitivity of the smoke detector way up, and it weakens the signal from the watchtower. The result? You're in a constant state of emergency.
And having that alarm on all the time just completely short-circuits our interoception. That's a fancy word for a simple idea, our gut feeling, our sense of what's happening inside our own skin. It's our inner compass. And when that compass is broken, you start to feel completely lost.
So when that inner compass goes haywire, the body still tries to send out distress signals, but they come out as all these physical symptoms. Chronic pain, digestive issues, you name it. It's why so many people just learn to numb out and ignore those feelings entirely, which of course just makes things worse.
Okay, so if you can't just think your way out of it, if talk therapy alone isn't enough to shut off that physical alarm, then how in the world do you start to heal?
You know, the whole point of healing is to get back what's called agency. That's it. It's that feeling of being in the driver's seat of your own life. And that journey, as we're seeing, has to begin with interoception, with finding the courage to actually listen to your body's signals again.
This brings us to two really different approaches. A lot of therapy is what we call top-down regulation. You use your thinking mind, that watchtower, to try and manage what's happening below. And that's useful. But for trauma, we have to have bottom-up regulation too. And that means going straight to the body's control panel, using things like breath and movement to recalibrate the alarm system itself.
And this, right here, is why a practice like yoga can be such a game changer. It is, by its very nature, a powerful bottom-up practice.
And there's no better way to see this in action than through the real story of a patient named Annie. I mean, when she first sought help, she was so consumed by terror. Her body was in such a state of alarm that she physically couldn't even speak or fill out the paperwork.
Her first yoga class was, in her words, terrifying. But she went back. And that's when she had this incredible breakthrough. The simple words that came to her, "Your body has things to say." That was it. That was the start of everything. The moment she began to listen.
And then just by moving and holding poses, she started to notice where in her body she was holding all that tension and pain. She could feel it. And for the first time, it wasn't some overwhelming wave of fear. It was just information. This is a huge, huge shift, moving from being terrified of your body's messages to becoming curious about them.
So how does this actually work? It really comes down to three things. 1, using your breath to physically calm your nervous system. 2, using the postures to safely explore physical sensations. And 3, using mindfulness to just notice what you're feeling, without judging it or having to fix it.
But is this just a nice feeling, or is something real actually changing in the body? Well, it turns out we can measure it. We can literally see the changes yoga creates in the brain.
One way scientists do this is with something called heart rate variability, or HRV. You can think of it as a measure of the harmony between your body's gas pedal and its brake. In people with PTSD, the HRV is usually really low, which is a big red flag that the whole system is out of whack.
And this is basically what that looks like. You see how the heart rate and the breath are all over the place, totally out of sync? When your system is like this, it makes you incredibly vulnerable to stress.
But look at this. This is the amazing part. After 20 weeks of yoga, look at the brain scans. The parts of the brain in charge of self-awareness and emotional regulation, the insula and the prefrontal cortex, the exact areas that trauma shuts down, they're lighting back up. Yoga is literally helping to rewire the brain.
And what people actually experience backs up the science perfectly. They talk about finally being able to recognize what they're feeling, about seeing that they have choices again, and maybe the most powerful thing of all, feeling safe in their own bodies.
So, if there's one thing to take away, it's this. Healing from trauma isn't about erasing the past. It's about reestablishing ownership of your body, right here in the present. By befriending those sensations we were once so afraid of, we can finally reclaim our lives.
And that leaves us with a final question for you to take with you. If this explainer got you thinking, and you want to learn more about this incredible mind-body connection, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the MediByte channel for more deep dives into health and wellness.